And welcome in, everybody, back here in the Two Guys and Beer podcast. Andy Beckstrom, Sean Field, and joining us now, our first guest in studio. Well, I guess our first guest overall. We've had some phone interviews prior, but first guest that we've had join us, Clint Peets of PeetzOut BBQ.
Heck yeah.
As the back of his shirt mentions, the pitmaster is bringing his wares to all of the local folk, especially around Minnesota with his competition barbecue. And glad you could join us.
Heck yeah. Thank you for having me. This is going to be really fun.
Yeah, we've been looking forward to it. We've been talking about it for quite a while and able to coordinate the schedules.
Right. Yeah, that's the hardest thing to do.
Yeah, thanks for coming on, Clint. We really appreciate it. As Andy said, you are our first in-studio person guest.
So don't mess it up.
Right.
The bar is low.
And the back of your shirt does say pitmaster. Yep. And not only are you a pitmaster, you're an award-winning pitmaster here up in the upper Midwest. How awesome is that?
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. So it's a great time. Like I said, back of mine says pitmaster. My wife's hers says chaos coordinator.
Oh, perfect.
Yeah, that sounds right.
Yeah, sounds right. Perfect.
There we go. All right. Well, I mean, we could get into a whole lot more of the pitmaster and the PeetzOut BBQ kind of as we go along. We do have a beer that we did bring for the episode, just kind of as it's Two Guys and Beer. You can't just sit here and just talk about barbecue. You have to have some beer too.
Beer and barbecue.
What we have here is we have Utepils. It's out of the Twin Cities kind of area. I'll get a little bit more into the specifics of where it is, but we'll have that. Clint, we're going to kind of force you into it a little bit.
Let's give it a shot. We're
going to have you try it though, but if you don't like it, I got some other options. Just, we're trying some different things here, folks. So we asked Clint,
thank you.
What kind of beer he wanted to pair with his ribs, and he said Busch Light.
Busch Light.
So we thought instead of doing an episode on Busch Light, we'd do something else, and then maybe we'll get there. We'll see what happens. But
yeah, we kind of nixnayed the Busch Light episode, but maybe someday.
It's possible. It's kind of hard to talk about a small little craft brewery about Busch Light.
Busch Light.
Anheuser-Busch.
Yeah.
Not much. Okay.
All right. So the best part of the episode is this part here. This is the Kolsch. It's a Kolsch-style from Utepils, as I mentioned.
I like the skull on it. Perfect for tonight's football game.
Exactly. Yeah, that's kind of what it's referring to. European style Kolsch. Similar to probably what we maybe had a couple when we were in Germany. It is, let's hear, it says Minneapolis, but it's like a different part. It's like Bryn Mawr, I think is what it is. Where did I see it? It even showed me the ABV. Oh, there we go. 4.9 ABV. So that's what we're working on. And we got the silo size. So it's the pounder size. So
yeah, it's pretty good. My first drink of this, I think it's pretty good. It's got a little different type of taste to it. It's probably that Kolsch, that Kolsch-style taste. Mm-hmm. Definitely goes down pretty light. It tastes pretty good. Perfect for Clint. He likes the lighter beers. What do you think, Clint?
Well, I do like it. I mean, it's not a
Busch Light.
It's not a Busch Light or a Keystone, but definitely broadening my horizons when it comes to the beers. I'm curious, what is European style brewing?
It's going to be a little bit more malty, just a little bit different flavor to it.
So you're talking brew it differently or something?
A lot of beers are brewed mostly the same way. It's just the ingredients are a little different. So like IPAs are going to be, there's going to be a lot more hops to them. Yep. They're going to be a little bit more hop forward. There's, different reasons they've brewed things certain ways. But these, the Germanish style, European style tend to be a little bit more malty.
Yeah. No, yeah, this is pretty good. I would definitely drink this again. I'd probably I would seek this beer out if I were to drink it. Mm-hmm. On a quick lawnmower scale, I would pound a few of these. I think like 3.5 lawnmowers after 2 hours of being sweaty drinking. You get off, you crack one. In fact, you probably have one while you're
driving.
As long as you got the cup holder on the rider.
It's about perfect here with the 4-pack of tall boys, because you could have one where you're kind of game planning, because you got to always prep. You don't just jump into it. You got to kind of.
Right. There's a plan.
Is there gas in the dang thing? Did I pick up the tie out for the dog? I'm gonna wrap that around the deal. Do I gotta move some lawn chairs or
I usually just go around that stuff.
Did I?
If the kids don't move it like they're supposed to, I just kind of get pissed when I'm on the mower and be like, well, whatever. I just go around it. So then there's patches of unmowed grass.
My plan of attack for that is you just do it a couple of times and mess it up, and then your wife does it for you.
Oh, sure.
See, My wife has tried that exact same process, but I usually tell her, I'm like, no. You mess it up, you have to do it more so you can learn it better. No, it doesn't really work that way, but I prefer to do it. I just never have the time.
There was this clip I saw on one of the social medias. It was a shorter reel where this husband was mowing the yard and he got sick of moving things out of the way. Well, he had one of those trampolines for his kids in the back. Well, he just put his feet out and put them on the trampoline and pushed the mower forward and pushed the whole mower out, or the whole trampoline out of the way and got underneath it and pushed it back.
Work hard and smart and harder. Right?
Exactly. Yep. Yeah.
That's great.
So, Clint, your first impressions of Utepils, the Kolsch?
I do like it. I am going to be honest. Yes, wow. I would like it. When it comes to like barbecue and beer, though, you can't have too thick of a beer, especially being around the smoke all day and eating the food. It's usually pretty heavy food. So the last thing you want is a heavy beer.
Right.
This ain't that heavy. I mean, it's heavier than a Busch Light, but you know what I mean? It's smooth, and I really like the flavor out of it. And you said it's a crisp, clean, blonde ale. Yep, I like that.
Yeah, it's a nice, tasty little brew there. So, and I won't lie, I'm quite surprised. I was expecting a little more pushback, but we've broadened your horizons.
Yes, for sure.
We've opened you up a little bit. Yeah, you can get this, a lot of places. I did not, so I had to look online because I was having some hard times finding it. But it's mostly in the metro area. But I was able to get it just down the road here in Bram.
Well, good.
Yep.
Yeah, perfect.
So we were able to find it right there. Yeah. Usually the Kolsch is going to be the one that you're going to find more often than not. It's kind of with the connection with the Vikings, I think is probably kind of the bit. So that's the more popular one, but they do have a handful of other ones that sometimes are out there. They have like a mix pack that they send out every so often as well. So the Tall Boys are actually with some of the stuff, some of the background with them. The Tall Boys is actually kind of a change in what they've done. They've always done 6-packs or, mix packs, things like that, 12-ounce cans, standard kind of brewery fare. But they've changed over the last year or so for efficiency, however you want to put it. They've actually changed to they're only doing the 16-ounce cans now. That's all they're going to do now. And kind of a limited supply, but are also going to that recyclable attachment to be able to like that holder.
Oh, sure.
So they're changing a lot of what they're doing.
Well, you have to save the turtles.
Well, exactly. Yeah. That's going to get in the nose of the great Graston horn hook.
Right.
But because I said, maybe we'll do Utepils there. And they're like, oh, they're closing. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, they're pretty popular. They're popular, in a lot of places. Like, I'm pretty sure that they actually have Kolsch at Vikings games.
Right.
You don't really go out of business if you have something at US Bank Stadium. And, so, I'm like, what are you talking about? So then immediately I got to go to the old Google machine. You know what I mean? Got to find out the real information because the internet is the source of all the truth that could be out there. So I go on there and no, it's not necessarily a change like that. They're not closing at all, but they did have, they listed a whole host of changes, a huge change in direction, mostly due to that, but they're also doing more of the 12 packs of the mix packs. That way you get a chance to be able to try different ones. Part of that also has to do with the fact that, then you don't have to have, as far as like not creating, but like inventory wise, I don't have to have a full 12 pack of this or 12 pack of that. You can just do a full batch and then make it into 1,000 different mix packs instead. So trying to kind of adjust what they've been doing. It's kind of as far as what their website even says, is it's a little bit kind of a carryover from just economics from COVID, how everything has changed a little bit, the way people consume things, the way people look at things, the way people purchase things, just everything kind of changes. And, that's kind of what they're looking to be able to do is, a little bit of a change to be able to do that. So definitely not closing at all whatsoever, just, changing kind of some of what they're doing. So
sold by the pint.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
So generally speaking, I'll just kind of go over some of the basics here. Nestled in the banks of Bassett Creek between Harrison and Bryn Mawr neighborhoods of Minneapolis. That's where they have an 18,000 foot facility. Wow. So I have been there before. It's when you go there, it's primarily on the one side, from what I remember, is production. Like it's a giant production facility. You kind of go to the left and kind of up the ramp, or there's a couple of little stairs, goes into a decent sized tap room on the inside, but they have a massive patio outside as well. Nice. So they do have some room to be able to be there, but it's definitely kind of a difference, as far as, here and there. kind of the way that it's set up.
Hey, how was your run the other weekend? Was that at this brewery here? Or what breweries did
No,
you
that was a mad dash, my pure athletic ability, as you can tell. That was between Head Flyer and Minneapolis Cider.
Oh, okay.
It was, if you're familiar with the area at all, if you're not, that's totally fine, because you go out the front of Head Flyer and you take a left right there on the sidewalk, a couple of steps down and then the sidewalk. You go about, I don't know, 30 feet to the right, about 30 feet to the stoplight, and then you go across the road and you go a block.
Oof.
Yep, if it was a full block, and then you take a left and you go another full block.
Oh boy!
Wow!
And then you're at Minneapolis Cider.
Man, how did you ever get through that?
Because that was only halfway.
Oh, perfect.
So I was able to stop at Minneapolis Cider and have a couple before coming back to Head Flyer. So
sounds like my kind of run.
Exactly. Yeah. It was the old 0.5K. That's the final. That's the brewery running series that I talk about quite often. That they have, I don't know, 40 some events every year. Most of them are 5K. Some of them involve a 10K with it. They give a lot of money back to charities and nonprofits. Do a lot of different things like that. But it's kind of a fun place to be able to your registration comes with like a little swag item, but it comes with a beer, or depending on how you sign up, maybe 2 beers. And I mean, yes, you got to do the run, but it's not timed. They do have like a little blow up arch thing that you run through, but
benches that you can take breaks on.
Oh, absolutely.
Good.
There's probably maybe a third of the people walk it.
Nice.
Oh,
so
yeah.
there's people of all ages. I mean, all ages, literally all ages. There's a little old lady, Patty, just absolutely wonderful. She's mid to upper 80s, and she's there all the time. She's faster than me half the time. It's kind of embarrassing, but it's it's
reality.
Yeah, she's absolutely amazing. She's so much fun. But I mean, there's kids that are there that run it and stuff like that. So it's a lot of fun. But the 0.5K is always the best event of the year, because it's just dress for Christmas and have fun. And
it's a mad dash.
I walked it.
Yeah.
I got beat by my mother-in-law on that. So Utepils was not involved in that. It was kind of, another part of Minneapolis, but I actually know one of the people that has an ownership stake in it. We used to play softball with one of the guys, is his son that would play softball as well. So let's see here. Where was I? I was going to try to go here. Yeah, many, many moons, like a couple months ago. So let's see here. I had the information here in a second. Where did it go? I don't know where it went. So they use artesian spring water from the wells that Minneapolis produce. So we talked before in different episodes about water, how it is so important. I'm sure you probably experienced that certain ingredients make all the difference that you wouldn't think, like whatever it may be. Yeah. We'll get more into the details of that in a minute. But they use a high quality water that is, just right there on site, which I'm sure probably went into, picking the certain location. Their brewing equipment, a maze of stainless steel pipes and mash towers. They have all sorts of, it's quite the large facility that's there. Boasts one of the first ever North American installation of the energy saving variable systems. So it changes how they do their boil, which helped apparently reduce their energy use by 75%.
Oh, wow.
So, it's actually quite the thing. It uses all the traditional skills, smell, and taste, as well as modern technology. The control center looks like the flight deck of a science fiction spaceship. Easy for me to say.
Right. Tongue twister.
So, yeah, it asked me to say that again later when I've had a couple more here. They have a 50-barrel brew house and both 50 and 100-barrel fermenters on 2 rounds of brewing to be able to complete a batch of beer, to be able to get everything kind of going. Production period is 2 to 6 weeks overall. And that's kind of most of kind of the history, or the interesting, or the information, I should say, about them. So the name, though, I will bring that up, though. It's Norwegian origin, but it means something different to everybody. The word describes indescribable, apparently.
All right.
So, like our beer, Utepils is an experience, one that you need to be present for to understand the beauty of what it truly means to you. So that is kind of the story about Utepils. They do a lot of nonprofit, a lot of great events, a lot of different things.
They're very proud. You can tell by their description.
Yeah.
Very proud of their business.
Absolutely. Yeah. And it's like I said, it's a cool place. It's a fun place, and a lot of connection to community. So,
oh, that's good beer too.
Yeah.
I like the beer. It's good. Are you good with it, or are you still going to need the Busch Light?
I'm going to finish this one for sure.
All right. Do you need a Busch Light up here too, just in case?
That'll be second round when we start talking barbecue.
All right. Well, speaking of which,
we did bring one up here for it, though, but I'm gonna hide it in the Smoky the Bear koozie here. So that way we don't know. We'll just say that this is a double IPA.
Cover up the bush,
Well, that's awesome.
So yeah, that's kind of what I got for Utepils there. So kind of a brief history, but this, like we said, this episode more so focused with the pitmaster. Pitmaster.
It's cool.
I feel like that should be something with like the monster truck guy, sound effects and stuff.
Smoke in the background.
Yeah, exactly.
Something.
Yeah.
Well, since we're getting on to the barbecue portion here, why don't you put in a plug, Clint? Where can people find you? Are you on social media, emails? Like, what social medias are you on?
So obviously I'm on Instagram. The hard thing with social media is that that's below my generation. Like I'm still trying to get used to it. So like people will message me and half the time I don't even see it right away.
Oh, sure.
So I'm trying to figure that out. But Instagram, it'll be PeetzOut BBQ. You can find me there. I'm trying to brave a little bit. This might help. But TikToks, I have a TikTok, PeetzOut BBQ.
Okay.
I've got some videos on there. A lot of it is just videos from competitions that I've done. And then I have a Facebook page of PeetzOut BBQ. And that right there is my main, like, not focus, but easiest thing that I understand.
Sure.
Is when it comes to Facebook. And then PeetzOutBBQ@gmail.com is my Gmail account that I made that isn't full of spam and that I can actually get messages. And Amanda was the first customer to email me on that. Yeah.
Oh, no.
Perfect.
Yeah, it was pretty cool.
Yeah, we got it in our freezer right there. My intention was to make it home and be able to have it on here. And I think I even promoted on one of the other episodes because Clint pointed that out. Right. I'm like, we're going to have it on. But that was supposed to be kind of the surprise.
I was waiting for the barbecue.
That was kind of the plan. And then I kind of messed that up. So got locked out of our own house, which... Yeah, that's a whole different story. But it's right. We fished somebody through a window and, it's totally fine.
Yeah, we got into the studio. That's all that matters. And all those links, Clint, we'll put all your social media links and stuff in our comment section below. So anybody that's watching the episode or listening can have access to all your social media and see what you're doing. And if you're within range, within the Minnesota area, you can order stuff when he puts on.
When I put on cooks,
his cooks that he does, where you can order racks, ribs, or whatever he might be cooking. So
and who doesn't like a really good rack?
Right. Good rack, big racks. Yep,
they're fun.
Yeah.
Well, we probably better let the listeners and viewers get to know who you are a little bit, Clint. So, where did you grow up? Where did you come from? Where did you hail from?
I mean, I grew up, went to high school, Cambridge, Minnesota. Grew up in Isani, so I went to high school there. Got married with kids. I think I had my third kid by the age of 22, so I had to grow up fast,
Sure.
So from there, we moved to Pine City 2019, the fall, right before COVID, right before the whole world shut down. So it was a great move. I mean, I would do it over again. I absolutely love that town, and it's a little bit more smaller than Cambridge. It's a good area to raise kids, and so, yeah.
Right. And here you are.
Here I am.
In a podcast studio.
Here we are. Yeah.
I thought I'd never to see this, so this is really cool. I'm really excited.
And if you can't tell by his pure athletic physique, he actually used to be part of the softball team. Yep. So we all played softball together back. That's kind of part of the connection. But
10, 15, we've been together for 10 years.
It's been a hot minute. Yeah.
I think it was longer than 10 years.
We had a good
12, 13 years. We pretty much had the same team.
Oh, God. Was it 01, 02? When we started, I don't even know if I want to know the answer to some of these questions.
We all worked there together,
I think it was 01.
Sugar daddies.
Yeah, and I did not play. I came the following.
Yeah, you were the next year.
DMG was the following.
Yep.
DMG, right?
DMG and then that was like a couple of years. And then
Dennis Michelle Ginter, they bought ribs for me too. So
there we go.
Still got the connection,
Nice.
And we were really, what was it, DT Cleaning Solutions, I think, for like 2 years with those sleeveless.
The blue.
Yeah.
They were like the full uniform jersey type.
God. Showing the guns.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
back when we had guns.
Yeah. now we've got rolls.
Uh-huh.
I think, Clint, every time we'd get something, like, it was the first thing was like, well, can I take the sleeves off?
Yeah, got to take the sleeves off right away.
So, yeah, and then the Leafs towing for many years.
Yep.
So,
good company there.
yeah.
And Pizza Pub.
That was after me.
Or was that,
yeah,
was
that
that
was
when the team kind of
yeah.
We
apart a little bit?
Yeah, I think that's when I started having kids and no time then. You know, little kids, it's like
they're little money suckers. That's what they are.
Yeah.
I'm almost done. I've got one left. That's set. Well, she'll be 18 in July,
okay.
or excuse me, February.
My baby is turning 16 in a couple days, so yeah, I'm knocking on the door. You know,
I'm about ready to drive. Another driver in the
boy,
house.
she's the scary one.
But she's a wrestler, though. Kind of like you.
Yeah.
Well, I basically your whole family, more or less.
Yeah.
Well, you and Brax, I suppose.
Braxton, he's been wrestling since kindergarten. Got a home meet tomorrow. He was out for a concussion. You know, he whacked his head there in practice. He started the season 3 wins away from his 100th career win, which is a milestone for a wrestler.
Yeah, it sure is.
So he's been out, and now he's coming back tomorrow night. It's a home meet. He should get 3 matches, and nothing would be cooler to get a 100th win in front of the home crowd.
Absolutely.
So I'm really rooting for him. I can't wait. And then, yeah, Zoe picked up. She started managing a couple of years ago for the high school, and then girls wrestling is the fastest growing sport, not girl sport.
It's all over.
It's coming on hard.
Big time. So Pine City adopted the girls wrestling team, you know, got a coach and their own program.
Is that like full program sanctioned, like through the state high school, or is it like club wrestling still?
No, it's MSHSL.
Okay.
You know, they got their own state tournament.
Nice. Perfect. I love it.
So, yeah, Pine City. So this year, last year was the first year that they actually had girls wrestling. And so she's like, what do you think, Dad? Think I should do it? I'm like, give it a shot, you know, go for it. And she loves it. So it's really, really fun to watch her progress, and really proud.
That's great. I do have a quick, obviously you were there or whatever, but story for you. I've seen Brax play football a couple of times.
Oh, sure.
And this year was one of the cooler moments of the year. It was a game that was kind of a little out of reach.
A little one-sided.
A little bit might have been one-sided.
Yeah.
I mean, their team that they were playing was one of the elite teams in the state, and things didn't exactly go the Dragon way, I guess is the way we'll put it. But they, at the end of the game, they put together a nice drive. They get all the way to the end, and they scored on the final play as time ran off the clock with a halfback pass to the end zone.
Nice.
And Brax threw the pass.
Oh, nice. Awesome.
So that was a lot of fun.
He claims that it was a play that he brought to the coaches. I don't know the truth behind that. He's sometimes a storyteller as well. But he said that he brought that to the coaches and that they gave him the opportunity. And, nice little, I don't know, 12-yard pass or whatever.
Awesome.
Perfect, right on the money. So,
well, I'm not in the huddle, so it sounds like it's legit.
Yeah,
I mean, why would he make up something like that?
I agree with him. That sounds good.
Exactly.
And it worked. It definitely worked.
Yeah.
So.
Success is always the key. You know, if it works, well, it was my idea.
That's all that matters.
You would have thought they won the Super Bowl, though. I mean, I don't remember the score, but it was something 50-something, 60-something to 6.
Yep.
But, man, they acted like they won the Super Bowl.
Oh, sure.
It's cool watching.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun.
Awesome.
Mm-hmm.
So what else do we got to want to know about?
So let's get into the grilling and smoking part, Clint. So where did that come from? You know, we've known you for a long time. I guess I've never known you to grill and smoke stuff until recently on your Facebook.
Right. It's new.
So where did you all of a sudden decide to start grilling and smoking, and like where did it come from?
Well, I didn't.
No, awesome.
Yeah. So for anybody that doesn't know me, I've been working at the Rush City Prison for 17, 18 years maybe.
God, you're old.
Been there for a while. My wife works there now too. And so 2016, I want to say is Mother's Day, the spring before she started, she calls me at work. Big no-no. You don't call me at work. I don't have access to my phone. If you want to call me, it's going to be like some life-changing something major, right? And that's just the unwritten rule. So across the radio it comes, Pete's got a phone location for an outside. And I'm like, and all my boys, they saw me, they just saw the face, you know, I'm like what's happening?
Yeah.
Like
something went down.
I'm like, the kids just got wiped out by a semi or something, you know? Mm-hmm. So I'm preparing for whatever, and I pick up the phone, and it's Chrissy, my wife. And she's like, hey, I know I'm not supposed to call you at work. I'm like, what's going on? And she's like, have you ever thought about getting a smoker? I'm like, why are you talking? Like, I just thought that my cat ran away, you know, I'm like really upset, you know, and then I find out that, no, I haven't thought about smoking. I was like, what are you talking about? And I got my buddies, they're sitting around me, they're like, what's going on, you know, because they know that this ain't normal. And she goes, I'm at Tractor Supply Company, and they have a 48 vertical smoker, propane smoker, that on sale. It's like 50% off, $150, normally $300. If I bought that for you for Mother's Day, could you figure out how to smoke me some rack of ribs?
Mother's Day. Oh.
And I'm like, I'm so confused. I'm like, what is going on right now? I'm like, and then she challenged me. She goes, do you think you're man enough to figure out how to smoke ribs? And I'm like, little did she know she woke up a sleeping bear.
Wow.
Right?
Yep.
So I'm like,
what did she start?
I'm like, yeah, sure. I was like, buy it. I was like, go get it. I was like, I'll show you something, you know? So she's like, all right, I'm going to buy it. I'm going to do it. So she hangs up the phone, and my boys are sitting there. And I'm like, apparently I'm getting a smoker. And they're like, what kind? You know, and they're like, you know, this, that. I was like, I really have no idea. You know? And I'm like, apparently I'm supposed to smoke some ribs.
It's a 48 propane.
Yeah, it's a 48 propane. And they're like, oh, yeah, so you got to go home, put it together, you got to season it. I go, what does that mean? Well, you got to season the smoker. I'm like, I have no idea what you're talking about, you know? So got on Google University, and I started Googling that, and that's where it started, was that she got me for Mother's Day. And I was like, you know, people think that's just a weird, like, I got the smoker for Mother's Day. She goes, I'm the one that gets to enjoy the food. Right. You know? So she outsmarted me on that one.
I follow the logic. You know, that's a deep cut there. You know, that's good planning.
Mother's Day 2016 was my first smoker, and that's what I got, and that's what I started with. You know?
That's a gorgeous thing.
Do you remember exactly what that smoker was?
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Like, what brand was it? Like,
it was a Master Built. So Master Built.
Master what now?
Master Built.
Okay.
Master Built. I'm getting confused now because my old man.
Another one of these.
Yeah, one more.
Master something else.
My old man bought one. It was a Smoke Hollow, I want to say. So I'm getting them confused, but they were both 48-inch vertical propane smokers that the fuel source is propane, but the smoke is wood chips. You put wood chips in.
Okay.
And that smolders and gives you the smoke flavor, you know.
So
do you still have that?
No, that one actually rusted out on me.
Oh,
you know that a lot of learning. I mean, if anybody knows, I mean, you swung by yesterday. I got 2024 vehicle sitting in the garage, but my smoker's in the garage. You know, so I took care of it, but I don't think I must have taken care of it enough. But it did rust out on me to the point where I got rid of it. So
right on.
No, I definitely got its use. That's for sure.
Well, that's all that matters.
Yeah. That's where you start learning. So what's your opinion on those, like from Tractor Supply or Walmart or Menard, wherever you get the big box stores, those $200 or $300 smokers? Are they really worth it? Do they do well? I have one, the electric Pit Boss one that I used twice last year because I've never smoked either. And I don't know anything about it. So in your opinion, now that you're an award-winning pitmaster,
sure,
from where you started to the rig you have now, which we'll talk about here in a second, what is your opinion on those lower-end beginner type?
Yeah, I mean, after I got that propane, I wanted the challenge of managing a fire, you know, and airflow and figuring all that stuff out and getting real natural wood flavor into the meat. So I went into the Oklahoma Joe's Highlands, which is like an offset. You use charcoal and then you can add wood chunks or stuff like that. I mean, it depends what you're looking to get out of it. If you're looking for, I call them outdoor crock pots, pellet smokers.
Sure.
You know, something that somebody doesn't want to just sit there and focus on temperature, time, meat, prepping. You just want to put it in there and then go mow the lawn, run to Walmart, and then come back.
Drink a Kolsch.
You know, and then ding, 8 hours later, the food's ready. Then that's what you should get, because you're still going to get the good quality, low and slow. You're going to get the wood flavor into that, you know, from the pellets. Maybe not as depth, you know, but definitely an option, I guess you could say. Other things that you can get, like at Tractor Supply Company, Walmart, all those other ones, is the Oklahoma Joe Highland, that offset. That's where you get the more the, I don't want to say campfire type of flavor, but like, you know, everybody remembers that growing up smoking burgers over the fire and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of flavor is what really is what I like, and that's what seems to do well at competitions. Some people do bring the pellet smokers to competitions, and
they do,
and do well. You know,
sure.
if a competition allows it. Some competitions don't allow electric, you know, at all. So, and some competitions don't allow propane. where it's just wood.
Just wood.
Yep. So, but there are people that use pellet smokers and definitely do very well on them. For me, I have very limited experience in it, and I guess a lot of it is that smoking and sitting out there for hours on end. It's kind of my like decompression.
Oh, sure.
Yeah.
Relax.
Yeah. It's just kind of my way to sit there and process my work week and not focus on work at all. I'm focused 5, 8, 10 hours, whatever the cook is. And I'm 100% locked in. So that kind of sets me, is the reason why I like the challenge of the wood, the wood kind of smoker. So
Nice.
Does it, like you said, you mentioned you prefer wood then over pellets and anything else. So is there a specific type of wood you use? Is it like oak or cherry or apple, or is there like a
I smoke birch,
popple?
My buddy's always like, hey man, I got a bunch of box elder for you. I call him my hype man. He's my hype man. He's always like, I got free box elder in the back. I'm like, oh, you save your box elder. So I used to
I'll save it for a special day.
save it for when I cook for you, specifically. But no, I used to, for just the small town cook, I would get that boxed hickory wood from Walmart, actually, At one time, I don't know if it was an error on Walmart's part or what, but I definitely capitalized on it. Usually it was about $17 a box, and one day it was like $7 a box.
Oh, okay.
So I cleaned you guys out twice.
Perfect.
Yeah. I'm like, back.
Clean it out.
Yeah. So I used to use hickory. That's what I really learned how to, when I started using log splits. But then, I don't know how many years ago, probably 3 or 4 years ago, we're on our way to our campsite. We got a seasonal campsite in Wisconsin. And we needed campfire wood. So we're on our way, and Chrissy's on the Facebook looking for firewood, and had this lady in, I think, Shell Lake, Wisconsin, posted a phase cord for $60 maple wood. She had a big maple tree go down.
Okay.
And I always wanted to use maple because you ever watch like Barbecue Pit Wars or Pitmaster?
Oh, yeah, I watch it, yeah.
There's a team called Shiggin and Grinnin from Minnesota, and they only use maple. So I'm like, I want to try this. So I'm like, swing by, get it, So we loaded up $60 for a big old, filled up the back seat of our pickup, And it was cool. We showed up, and nice lady, I don't know, my age-ish or so. She had 2 boys there Saturday night, and they're not out on town. They're teenage boys. And we pull up, and I'm like, $60 for this little bit? And she goes, no, $60 for all of that. I'm like, are you sure? Like, that's a hell of a deal.
And she's like,
cord
worth?
Yeah. She goes, yeah,
nice.
She's like, that's what you want? Yeah. And, so they're talking all of a sudden here, doo-doo, and I'm turning, the boys are loading up my pickup. I'm like,
oh, all right.
I don't have to split it. I don't have to do that. So we brought it to the campsite, and we cooked the burgers on it that night. And it was like, all right, that's life-changing. That was good. So then we went back the next day, text her, go, you have any more of that wood? And she goes, yeah, for sure. Swing on by. And she wasn't home. So we bought another pickup load, and I left her I think $150. I'm like, you have no idea what you have here, lady. So I slid it under her doormat, and off we went. But maple wood by far changed everything, because that was my first win was on maple.
Nice.
And the rule about barbecue is if you're in the money, don't change what you're doing. So I'm like, buckle up.
I was actually just going to ask you when you were talking about different types of wood, because you hear about hickory and things like that, but I guess I don't live and work in that world really much, so I guess I didn't know maple was really a thing. But that was kind of my thought. Is it add an extra little layer of sweetness to it then with the sugars, or
kind of So it depends a lot what you're smoking. Fish is obviously going to be delicate and overpower oak or something like that when you're doing fish. More sweeter, but beef, that could take a bolder mesquite or oak. I just smoke a lot of pork, and a lot of people use apple, cherry, hickory, for pork, and it enhances the flavor of the pork, but it doesn't taste like you're eating a bonfire. I can always tell when I'm, try somebody else's ribs, and I'm like, take a bite. I'm like, oh, you use oak, huh? I'm like, oh, how could you tell? I'm like, it tastes like a bonfire, which some people like. Some judges like,
Sure. So
it's all about the area where you're at. For me, maple is a great balance between the different types of things I cook, So, yeah, really, probably not going to change anytime soon anyways, as long as I keep scoring.
Absolutely.
Yeah, if you're winning that way.
Yeah.
If you want to change, do it at home for fun, just to try it, to see how it goes.
That's where the trial and error is. But
let me know. I'll come. I'll give you feedback.
Taste test.
Yeah, I'll give you some feedback.
Because ever since I, went to maple, like I said, I changed to maple. Next competition was only my second competition I ever competed in, and I won. Took first.
Sure.
And I've always scored in the money after that. I've never missed. Like, I've always gotten a call, which is kind of unheard of. So it's like, yeah, I'm definitely going to stick to maple. Now I got to find a supplier because her tree's gone. And so now I got to find a new supplier.
That's awesome. Mm-hmm. So do you win money too when you place? We've seen all your awards, on the social media you post, but you actually win some cash back too.
Yeah,
so,
definitely win. It depends on what I do is backyard competitions, because that's what I am. I've only been smoking since 2016, and competition wise, I think the first year I did it was just one competition. Then the next year I did 2. And then now this year I did 4.
Oh, okay.
That's all I've ever done. So I'm still trying to learn in the process of competitions. And there's a circuit, they call it the KCBS circuit, the Minnesota Barbecue Society. You're smoking every weekend. You're going for big money. What I do is backyard competitions, companies, bars, they put it on. And a lot of times they supply the ribs for you too. So it's just an entry fee, and then get there and smoke. And then they usually, depending on the competition, I've smoked at, I want to say 4 different places, and each one of them is different in its own way of how they do payouts and the amounts and stuff like that. But
okay,
yeah.
Do you plan on getting on that Minnesota circuit?
Yeah,
try it out.
I got my guys.
I mean, that's a time commitment, I suppose. You said every weekend you have to go somewhere. And
you
smoke.
Should to realistically place at the end of the year. They call it the points chase.
Okay,
and so the more competitions you do, the more points you get. If you're really good, you only have to do 7 competitions and place really high in all of them, then you're good. But I got the guys that I get my rubs through. They work down, I believe it's the Oak Park prison. They're both sergeants. I think one might be a lieutenant. It's called Smoking Bros Rubs.
Okay.
That's where I order my stuff from. And he's always like, you got to get in the circuit. You got to do the circuit, because they sponsor so many teams to get their name out there and to just support the community. And then they contribute percentage of the proceeds to the Corrections Peace Officer Foundation.
Oh, nice.
So they go out to, I think this year they went out to Seattle and presented a check out there.
Wow.
Stuff. Really good dudes, right? And so he's always like, you got to get in the circuit. And he's like, and I'm like, I really appreciate that. But I really learned quickly after my first one turned 18. And I'm like, I only got so many years left with these kids.
Mm-hmm. Right.
So it's like, let's do these backyard competitions, have fun as a family. And then when they go off and doing their own thing, and it's just me and Chrissy, it's like, then we can start committing a little bit more. So that's kind of the plan, and I guess we'll see where it goes.
So it's less the KCBS, but more the case of beer.
Case of beer. That's
right. That's because that's my kind of
case of schools.
I mean, for that. Which side note, Sean? When is the Two Guys in Beer Backyard Barbecue Championship? Is that in June?
I think it's coming up here. It's coming up.
Yeah, we'll have to do some.
We'll kick off the spring with it.
It's a little on-air production meeting.
So, what inspired you to even get into competitions? Like just out of nowhere, you just decided?
No.
Was it Chrissy calling you out again?
It was definitely not Chrissy.
She's saying you weren't man enough to compete?
Yeah, you can't do it. I'm like, watch this. Hold my beer, right?
Have you tasted this guy's stuff?
No, she wouldn't do that to me. No, it was, so, anything like new and anything that anybody takes on, is a hobby. So, barbecue pitmasters, if you guys ever watched that show.
Yeah, I've watched it.
Big Mo Case on with Melissa Cookston, and then the world's winningest man of competitions, Byron Mixon. They put it on back in the day. And so when I first got into barbecue, it comes on Barbecue Pit Wars or Pitmasters. I turn it on, I'm watching it. And it's just cool. It's just competitions. They're smoking different things, and they're going over, and their rib turn-in box, and their briskets, and their chicken, and everything of how they're doing it. And I'm just watching. I'm like, I could try that. And then the side joke was to Chrissy, I'm like, hey, I said, that's going to be us one day. I said, I'm going to be the pitmaster. You're going to be my assistant or chaos coordinator. And I'm like, that's going to be us. And we're going to travel all over. And she goes, F we are. She goes, I ain't doing that. And I'm like, come on, doesn't that look fun? She goes, absolutely not. And I'm like, well, I said, that looks fun to me. So after hundreds of hours of episodes, she didn't really know that she was getting on board with this, but my mom for years, well, not years, it hasn't been years, but she would be like, see a barbecue competition at a bar that she plays bingo at, and she goes, oh, you should totally do that. You totally win, Clint. You should do it. And she always inspired me, saying that my ribs were good enough to win competitions. And I'm like, finally. And she even goes, like, my first competition, it was at A1 Tire down in North Branch, just south of North Branch here. Jeff Selvag, I think is how you pronounce his last name. $2,500 for first place.
Oh, wow.
250.
Yeah.
I was thinking it was like $200.
Right.
Yeah.
And then
that's what I was thinking
I think it
too.
was $500 for People's Choice, which is another category, right?
Mm-hmm.
And my mom's like, I'll pay the entry fee. You need to do this. And I'm like, Chrissy, guess what we're doing? I said, Mom paid the entry fee. We can't say no. And she goes, all right, it'll be fun. And so that's where it started was, just kind of being challenged once for my wife, and then not realizing how much fun it is. And then my mom just continuously, like about 2-3 years in a row, she's like, you really need to do competitions, Clinty. She'd always tag me in posts on Facebook whenever people are advertising competitions. And I'm like, I just got to bite the bullet and just do one, and oh my God, hook, line, and sinker.
Got you.
Got me.
How'd that first one go?
Went good. I mean, I didn't place. That was all right. So it was a cool place. Show up in this A1 tire. They put on a really good day, a family day. You think barbecue is just a bunch of guys getting around.
Right.
No, they have a car show there. They have kids prizes and drawings for bike raffles. They have a huge bunch of sponsors. So it's a really cool event, right? So I really wanted to be a part of that in itself. And then on top of that, $2,500 doesn't sound bad. So not really prepared at all. I think I had my Oklahoma Joe at the time, which with a rib rack, which you don't want to use a rib rack necessarily for competitions because they're not pretty. The ribs aren't pretty. You put them in a rib rack and you get lines and stuff like that.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I had that, and then I had my dad's 48-inch propane smoker. So I had those two there, and we showed up, and the guy right next to the spot that we got, he was already there, unpacked, tent up, smoker smoking, and he's taking a nap in his trailer. And we show up in our truck, and our truck is just loaded down or whatever. And we're unloading, and I go to take the canopy out the tent that we have. It was my dad's from his cabin, like 5 years old. And I go to put it up and just big tear right across it. I'm like, God, it's starting to sprinkle. It's 6 in the morning. And I'm like, this is how this is going to go. I'm like, oh my God. So
It's all coming together.
Yeah.
I think at that time it was just me, Chrissy, and the boy. We had Braxton with us. And she's like, what do we do? I said, well, let's just start unloading what we can. I said, I'll throw this in the trash. I said, do you want to run to Walmart and get us a 10 by 10 or 8 by 8, whatever canopy, because you need something over your meat when you're preparing it. So she takes off, and I'm like, well, I'll get the smoker going and getting it ready. And I'm like, where's the hell's the lighter? I can't find the lighter. It's still in the truck.
Oh, no.
Yeah. So now I'm that guy standing in the rain with no lighter to even do anything. So me and Braxton are literally just sitting there twiddling our thumbs for an hour, which put us an hour behind schedule. But after that, we got hit the ground running. We found our stride, and our very first competition, I didn't really practice. One thing rule of competitions, anytime you do a competition, you should always practice.
Sure.
That doesn't sound that.
Right.
No,
And I'm like,
I've
what?
never heard of such a thing.
It seems like an extra step.
That's what I'm thinking.
Unnecessary step.
So I'm like, practice what? And they're like, well, practice your turning box. You got to make it look nice and neat and pretty and stuff like that.
Oh, sure. With the
For
final
the judges.
stuff. Yeah,
That's big money. And they open up that box, and the very first thing they do is eat with their eyes, they say. It's got to look pretty, right? Well, we didn't practice that. So we cut them up, and we put them in there as pretty as what we thought, what I seen on TV, but never practiced it. Turned the ribs in. Took 5th place out of, I think, 17 teams.
Oh, wow.
Heck yeah.
Oh, darn.
Yeah, that's my worst place I've ever finished in one of those backyard competitions was 5th place. It was my very first one ever. And a lot of it was just shooting from the hip like I do in life.
Right.
And it's like, well, turned out to be a good day. So yeah, definitely like that place. I'll definitely go back there again, but it was one for the books, that's for sure.
That's awesome. If you'd like to be a corporate sponsor of the Two Guys in Beer podcast championship,
Right.
I have a backyard already, so we got that going for us. I can't promise $2,500.
Right.
I can promise maybe a koozie and a couple beers.
Hey, that's all I need is good laughs and a beer.
Yeah. So how was it interacting with your competition? The other people that are smoking, are they friendly? Are they willing to help, or do they give you like some bullshit information so you screw up and they win? Is it like give you a pat on the back like breweries? Microbreweries, they always want to help each other. They collaborate and they want everybody to succeed.
Lift the community.
Yeah.
And not just the community, but the community of breweries.
Right. Is it that way for the competitors that you smoke with?
It is amazing. And I was not expecting it because me being a competitor playing sports, and I never experienced barbecue competitions other than first joining them. Right. And that first year we were kind of shy and not really knowing what the, I guess, etiquette is. right? So, but then after that, next year we went back to the A1 tire and we won that one, and that's when people were like, they recognized us.
So you got first in the A1
the following year.
So you took the 2,500 home.
That was 25, and then we also won People's Choice, which is for people that don't understand is that the big money is the judges. Usually it's 5 or 6 judges. You turn in 5 or 6 bones, however much the rules say, and those judges determine how great. And they're judges. They know what they're doing for the most part, to my understanding, right?
Not a couple of random jamokes that they picked
There was
up.
one competition we went
You want to
to.
come to a thing? Right?
There's this one competition we went to where they were looking around. They're like, anybody? You want to judge ribs today? Sure. And I'm like, but anyways, this place at A1, I mean, they put on a good show and fair, So that one, you turn in those bones for the judges, and then there's People's Choice Awards. So like you guys could go and you pay like I think it's $10 for 5 tickets or whatever the price is. And so you got 5 tickets. There could be 20 teams there, but you got to go up to 5 booths and you try their rib, and whoever you think is a favorite, you drop a golden ticket in their deal. So that's People's Choice Award. So to some, that's more of an honor also because you have multiple people trying your ribs. So yeah, but the with the etiquette with the other competitors and stuff like that, you get to know these people that, once you do 2, 3, 4 competitions, you see the same face. Like, hey, how'd you do last time? Good, and very helpful. Very, I wouldn't say like helpful. Like if I walked up to a guy, hey, I lost my lighter. Can I borrow your lighter? He'll throw me 5 of them.
Sure.
But I'm not going to go up there on competition, during the competition, go, hey, what's your favorite rod? What do you do? They call that shigging. You're stealing from other people, so that's frowned upon. You wait till after the awards and then you talk to each other, but there's no secrets in barbecue. Like I will tell you, they will tell you, everybody will tell you exactly what they use, how they do it, the times, the temps, everything. And then I dare you to mimic it.
I was going to say, it's still a craft to be able to do it yourself. It's like, it's like cooking.
Yeah, it is. It is. That's where I learned, is, YouTube University. And, if I was to ever smoke something new, I don't just go on YouTube and watch a video and then I watch, my wife thinks it's an obsession, which probably is, hundreds of different dudes doing barbecue of whatever it is that I'm wanting to cook. And I kind of pull a lot from everybody.
Morph it into what you want.
Yeah. And that's how the people of barbecue are. Like, there's this team, Big Racks is one of them. Big Racks, everybody likes Big Racks, right?
We all like Big Racks.
So those guys, I met the one brother. They come rolling in. They're like the big show. They got this big trailer, the logo, inside trailer, So people notice when they roll in.
Sure.
And then there's another team, Dogs Barbecue. Those guys are so cool and humble. And I talked to them a couple times this year. We got butted up right next to them, So throughout the day, you're just kind of BSing. And it sounds like they are every weekend, sometimes a couple times a weekend. And they're just grateful. I think one of the competitions we were at this year, we both got a call at the same time. They got, I don't know, like People's Choice or something like that. And then Reserve Grand Champion, they're like Dogs Barbecue, and they're like Grand Champion, PeetzOut BBQ. And so they're up there at the same time. And they were weren't happier, but they seemed happier that we won than we seemed happier,
Oh, sure.
They were just like, his wife grabbed my wife and just scooped her up and hugged her. And I'm so proud of you guys. Congratulations, So, yeah, it's a cool community, and I'm really glad to be a part of it. It's really cool people.
So. Yeah, that's awesome. So what are, talking about successes and stuff with barbecuing that we've kind of talked about, is a first-time person that smokes and grills and barbecues, what are some common mistakes people make, like, right away?
They think seeing smoke is a good thing.
Sure. Yeah. And I'll admit that the first time I ever tried smoking, of course, I was using pellets. I'm kind of that person. I don't want to look at it. I just want to set it and forget it because I don't cook.
So
and
pellets are different, though.
There's no smoke coming out. Like, this thing is BS. It's not working.
Pellet smokers, pellets are different, though. So pellets, you want to see smoke.
Sure. Okay.
It is because the heat source from whatever it comes from, but the pellets, that's where you get your flavor. To my understanding, this is what somebody explained it to me, is that pellet smoking, they have a smoke setting. You put smoke into the meat because it's not as pungent, I guess, I don't know the word for it, as using like logs of wood, because you're just using little things. So, and that smoke's good.
Because they're like, I think, more dense, aren't they?
Yeah, it's like wood shavings, I guess, putting a pellet and compressed down or whatever. And so that smoke is good because it's not as intense, I guess you could say. But for like, if you ever have like a charcoal grill and you throw a couple chunks of wood on it, or for like me, I got this big old apparatus, right? And if you see smoke, like smoke is coming out, that's what they call dirty smoke. And that's where the meat is usually dark and black, and you take a bite out of it and it's like, yeah, you got smoke on it, So that's a common mistake, is that people think that if I don't see smoke, I'm not smoking.
I would have been one of those people for sure.
So the trick is that you either don't want to see it, or like a really light blue haze. And like my kind of rule of thumb, especially if it's sunny out, is I want to be able to see the smoke shadow, but not the smoke.
Oh, okay.
That's kind of my rule of thumb is. So,
what we actually did with our pellet smoker, we bought those little metal boxes.
Yeah, the smoke tubes.
You can throw chips in there. You light them on fire and throw them in there too, because we had no idea what was going on. It seemed to turn out okay, but I don't know what the hell I was going on.
That's always kind of because working and people know me at work, because whenever I cook anything, if there's leftovers, I bring it to work and share, So people are always asking me, I can't get this, or tips on that, and my biggest one is, well, if you're going to get a pellet smoker, or I call them outdoor crock pots, you want to get one of those, I say get yourself a smoke tube, because from my understanding, my brother uses one of those too, and it adds in that more smoke flavor, I guess you could say, that people are looking for when they say, I smoked this.
Yeah, it seemed to work. Mine's it's a Pit Boss electric one.
Yeah.
That's all I really know about it. I put shavings in the tray that it comes in, and then I do another one of those extra metal boxes, fill it up. Use
so it's
my torch.
It's not a pellet smoker?
It is not. It's wood shavings.
Okay,
or
so
the
you
wood
get
chunks.
you get the bag of wood chips out of it?
Yeah.
See that?
And the water tray in there, put the water. Well, I filled it with apple juice because I read somewhere, put some apple juice in it. It kind of gets a little more sweeter, maybe. I don't know.
It does. It's a trick you could use. It depends on, for me, I've experimented a little bit with that, but for me, it's just, water's cheaper also. But throwing water out there, because if you are doing a longer cooking, you might have lost track of that water pan and it starts burning.
Sure.
Like if it all evaporated.
Yeah.
Now you got a mess of a water pan.
Yeah, I've seen that in mine. I had to add more. More apple juice. What about, what's your go-to cut of meat for competitions? You just do ribs? You do brisket? Like, what all do you do?
Right now, just the backyard competitions, they're all ribs. And generally, they're provided by the people that are putting on the event. So
that was going to be another question I was going to have. Like, if you had to bring, like, if you had $500, that's great. But if you put $1,000 worth of ribs into the thing,
and that's where the circuit, the barbecue society that they do, to my understanding, like I said, I haven't dabbled too much into it because I'm afraid that once I start dabbling into it and investigating, I'm going to go that route.
Sure.
So I'm holding back. But my understanding is a lot of times you got to provide your own meat. But for me right now, it's just ribs. Most of them in baby back ribs. The one place, Pub 65, Pub and Grub down there in Ham Lake-ish area.
All right, by the movie theater.
Route 65.
Okay. Yeah.
Yep. They
I actually stopped there just the other day.
Good burgers.
Yeah. They're always busy there.
I was just visiting a friend.
They are busy. They do spare ribs there. St. Louis cut spare ribs, which is still a rib on the pork, but just a little bit further down.
So pork typically then?
Pork rib.
No beef ribs?
No beef ribs. I've smoked beef ribs one time to prove a guy wrong at work. He said the only way to get beef ribs tender is to boil them first. I go, what the hell are you talking about? I was like, you don't boil nothing. I was like, it's all about time and temp. And he goes, and I'm like, give me a rack of your beef ribs. And I said, I'll smoke them for you. And I won that bet too.
Nice.
Now, with that experience, do you hear a lot of fallacies or like fake things like that? Do people not necessarily challenge you, but just like, oh, you should do this, try to like give you tips almost that are kind of like, no, I would never do that.
Everybody's got their own, I guess the biggest, not myth, but thing that I'm not for is you need a binder for your rubs to stick to the meat so it doesn't fall off while you're cooking it. And so there's a lot of people that use mustard as a binder, and they say you don't taste it. And I've had ribs a couple times with mustard as a binder. I've never personally cooked ribs with mustard because I don't want to, And the most winningest man in barbecue, Myron Mixon, says, save that stuff for the brats and hot dogs, So, But mustard is one thing that, I mean, big time competition guys, you know, they have their stack of mustard there and when they're getting it ready. And I'm just like, I ain't going to cross that bridge, nor do I need to right now.
And it's funny to me that it'd be like, oh, you don't notice the taste of it because mustard has kind of a pungent taste to it. Like it's a powerful taste.
Right. I was just going to say, and I like mustard too. And I'm like, how are you going to smoke with mustard and not taste the mustard?
And I've had ribs and, you know, if I closed my eyes and had them, I probably couldn't tell the difference. But for me, it's like the way that I do it is just, it works for me. And I've never had a problem with the rub falling off. And my wife always jokes whenever we're going through our checklist and she goes, got your apple juice? Yep. You got the seasonings? Yep. You got your mustard? I'm like,
try to get you.
We'll leave that mustard at the store.
All right. So what's your most memorable win of all the competitions you've been in, the very first one?
Oh yeah. That's where it was like, it was a very emotional day.
Where was it?
That was the A1.
Oh, that was the A1. Okay. That was the first one.
So. Yeah. So, God, that one was cool. I had so we got our team, right? I guess I should introduce my team.
Yes, introduce your team.
So we got
this is Clint. He's the pitmaster.
Yeah. Pitmaster, the one that does the little work with all the pretty much the acknowledgments. So, but my wife is the chaos coordinator, so she's second commander or whatever. But then we got our daughter Kaylee. She's made it to most competitions, and at least if she can't be there for the whole time, she at least stops by and does what she can while she's there. And then Braxton, our middle boy, Zoe, our youngest, and then Braxton's girlfriend, Emma, has been with us since the start, too. They had started dating the spring prior to our first competition, and she tagged along, and she's with us, too, you know? So that's like the main team. And then I had shirts made up. My mom wanted a shirt with the PeetzOut BBQ logo on it, so I had support staff put on the back because my mom and dad, they haven't missed a competition yet.
Nice.
So, and...
Well, I don't think they missed a softball game either.
Yeah, they were always there.
They haven't missed a wrestling tournament, football game. They're always in the stands. So support staff, obviously, right? And they're the ones that like, can I help you with this? Can I help you with that? And some rules are the team only in the cook area. You're not allowed to have anybody else in there. So mom's like, well, I got a shirt now. I'm like, okay, mom. I was like, but only 16 members are allowed, you know? But so they're there. And then other parts of our kind of team, I guess you could say, is Ellie. She's my niece, Bailey's niece, or Bailey's daughter.
Yeah.
She's got the most important job. If you ask her, she's the most important part of the PeetzOut BBQ.
Taste tester.
You think she wears this orange kind of glittery skirt and it says, feed me barbecue and tell me I'm pretty or something like that. So she's the one that gets all the cute or the grandmas and everybody to come up because we have her out front. But
she's out flagging them in. Come on.
Yeah. So a little trick we learned in our first year that we didn't do was people come out to try the rib for the people's choice, right? You pay your ticket, you put a rib in a boat, little French fry boat, and they walk away and they're like, God, that was really good. Well, where did I get that from? Because they have 5 other boats.
Yes.
So we had stickers made up with our logo. So her job, Ellie, shows up and we get the boats and she has to put the stickers in all the boats and prep them.
Nice.
And then one thing that I do that I notice a lot of teams don't do is when we're serving to the public, I have Braxton on rib duty and I'll yell, hip, hip. And that's his cue to get me another rack of ribs. And I cut the ribs fresh for the public when they walk up. There's a person, cut a rib fresh. And her job is to stage that boat for me. So all I have to do is cut the rib, boom. And if she's off, the whole, like I get a line and people wait and then they look and go, well, I'm not waiting in line of 10 people. I'm going down to the next person.
Sure.
So she actually does have an important job.
Nice. Efficiency.
Yeah.
It's peak efficiency there.
Well, and then I got my hype man, Dylan Fezenden. He's a buddy I work with. That the year that I won my very first barbecue competition, I sent a Snapchat, video to set up in the morning. And I'm like, ready for a day competition? Let's see what happens. And like 2 minutes later, I get this text on Snapchat. So that's a paragraph. And it was just a freaking hype. Come on, man, today's the day. You've been working. These guys are nothing. You step all over that competition and just hype me up, right? And we ended up winning. So I told him, I was like, I need to hype every
there you go.
Nice.
He hasn't missed. So he's a support staff on the team. Yep.
Awesome. Does he have a shirt?
He doesn't. He's got a sticker. He was the first guy to get a sticker.
Okay.
So he's got it on his water bottle. So yeah, I mean, it's just cool. My sister, she got the award-winning moms. She wants to decorate our booth.
Sure.
So my nephew Jarek, I didn't set him up for this, But he told me this after the competition, after I won. He goes, Clinty. I was like, because he hops all the time.
Mm-hmm.
And he's like, I'd go over there because when we start serving to the public, they go around and try them too. So him and his buddy James, they would eat rib. Like, oh, that's really good. Yeah, I really like this one. Still, PeetzOut BBQ is my favorite one over there. Oh, yeah, where? And people would call up, be like, which one is good? And they're like, oh, PeetzOut BBQ. Those ones are my favorite by far. So he started
plants everywhere.
He did that for me, and he told me afterwards. I was like, keep that up, buddy.
Awesome.
Send more people my way.
Brilliant.
Awesome.
But it was cool. So that first competition was my second competition I've ever done, a year later after my first one. And so we showed up. They have a lot of room there. So my mom invited a lot of her friends, and my aunt and uncle were there, and had a lot of people. I had hurt my back at work a couple days prior. So like, I was kind of like not in the mood, but, kind of painful or whatever. But went through the day pretty seamless on the cook and everything. We never had anything really get in the way other than just August. It gets hot and whatever.
Sure.
So I just wanted to hear my name get called one time,
Mm-hmm.
And so it was a funny story about that too. Backstory leading into what's coming is my mom every year for Christmas since I was little. What do you want for Christmas? What do you want for Christmas? Now we always send her pictures of my dream smoker, $6,000 smoker built in Kentucky or Alabama, wherever. I'd always send her a picture of that just as a joke, right? Well, that smoker, the same exact one, was at that competition. So,
wow.
Yeah, it was cool. So I checked it out. I pointed that to my old man, and I was like, that's my dream smoker right there, And so we're going through the awards part of it, and we're up there, we're waiting, and they always start at People's Choice, PeetzOut BBQ. And I'm like, whoa, just went nuts, $500.
Hell yeah.
So I'm high-fiving and hugging or whatever. We go up there. Chrissy's crying. I think I might have had a tear or two coming down. Get the whole team up there, take a picture, and come
I'm
back.
getting emotional right now.
Yeah, I know.
And it was funny about that. There's a guy that he now works at the prison. He was a 2-time champion returning.
Oh, okay.
And he was there, right? And I didn't know this guy at the time. But I knew of his team name, and I knew that they were there. So you hear third place called, team, whoever they were. I don't know who they were anymore. Second place, not that team. So I'm like, all right, well, that team.
That's got to be the team.
And
right.
my dad went and tried his ribs and came back. Goes, well, it's not you, Clint. It's him. He's got good ribs. Everybody telling me he's got good ribs. So I'm waiting for him to be number one. And then first place, PeetzOut BBQ. I'm like, that was awesome. Chris like, that's awesome. And I hugged Chrissy, and my mom was there, and I hugged her, and I kind of knocked her over a little bit, because she had a bad hip at the time. And it was just cool. It was absolutely cool. And so then afterwards, we're cleaning up or whatever, and just kind of like taking in the day, and just, it's an exhausting day.
Bet.
Yeah.
Long day. And my mom comes up and she's tearing up. Oh, I'm so proud of you. And she goes, we're going to buy you your smoker. You just got to go get it. I'm like, what are you talking about? I said, Mom, that's a $6,000 smoker. I'm buying it for you. You're going to do this. I'm like, oh my God. I started crying. I'm blubbering like a baby, She goes, you just got to go figure out how to get it. It's down in Kentucky.
Right.
Oh,
Yeah, so
road trip.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm good with the road trip.
Yeah. Did you already get it? Because we're ready to go.
We got it a week later.
Do you need a new one? You need another one? You need another one?
Actually, I could use another couple.
I hear that 2 Guys in Beer podcast backyard barbecue. It's a big. You might need 2.
Might need a road trip. Yep, it was cool. So
And I got a Yukon. We can take our Yukon.
That's comfy, too.
get it.
We can
It
spread
is.
out in there.
Oh, you can.
Mhm.
God, we're going down to Alabama, though. That's where the company is now that builds them.
That works too.
Yeah, that's good.
Yep.
Good, short drive. But
Perfect.
yeah, a week later, me and the old man, we jumped in the truck, and down we went. We drove 12 hours there, picked it up, stayed in a hotel, drove 12 hours back the next day.
Nice.
Yeah.
So what kind of unit is this? What is this unit?
It's called the Game Day 60 Smoker, I guess you could say. It's a reverse offset. For anybody that knows what that is, it's got a big insulated firebox, and I use charcoal to get a little base, hot, and then I throw wood on it and work out the charcoal until it's just strictly wood. And it's got like this plate from the smoke box, so it goes underneath the meat, and then it comes across, and it smokes evenly across the entire chamber, and then comes up the smokestack that's on the same side as the smoke box, So and then above it, it's got warming racks, and I can actually cook in that if I want to, but I use that more for like storing food when it's done. And then it's got its own little charcoal chamber as well in the front. And it's got 2 different levels. I can do direct right over the top, like cooking on charcoal. And I could cook on top too.
Oh, okay.
And that's completely separate. So I can, while we're at competitions, I'll be there, and then I'll also grill us some stuff throughout the day, and then it's got a place on the back that I can put like a propane oil tank or fish fryer or something like that.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So, and it pulls behind the truck just fine. I think it's like 12 feet long, and it's big enough it's got 2 tiers of cooking, plenty of room for, I think my capacity comfortably is 18 racks of ribs. I think I've done like 16 pork butts at a time. So,
nice.
Wow.
big enough, and does its job, but it takes a little finesse.
Do you ever do that just to like we're cooking on the barbecue just for the fam, you know, like 5-6 burgers?
What's funny about that is people laugh, but it doesn't take any much more fuel source than those little Oklahoma Joes I had.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Surprisingly, I put on some charcoal, maybe a little bit more charcoal than the Oklahoma Joes would take, and I throw on 3 splits of fire, and when that turns into coal, I throw on 2 splits of fire, and the chamber is up to 250 to 300, wherever I decide to cook at that day, and it maintains the heat so well that, when I only want to smoke a rack or 2 racks of ribs, I'm firing that thing up.
No.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah, I named it Willie.
Perfect.
Yeah.
So when it comes to competitions, we've kind of talked about here a little bit. What with your team, and it seems like you had a nice team, a family team.
Yeah,
that's
family.
awesome. That's even makes it more memorable. I think more fun. You're doing it with your wife and kids and your family.
Everybody's involved. Yeah.
What type of preparation does it take to enter a competition? Like, what are you doing beforehand before you go there and set up?
I mean, a lot of not sleepless nights, but dream nights of preparing and stuff like that. We just adopted, I think, of our last competition or two, is a packing list. My wife is, like I said, the chaos coordinator. She would make a list and check it off, right? And every time before a competition, the week leading up to it, we'd make the list. And I'm like, why are we remaking the list? Let's make a list and then we could print it off every time and then just adjust to it, so it's the night before we prep the smoker, make sure it's clean. You got to make sure it looks nice and stuff like that.
Sure.
And then we store everything in the truck, in the box, and we load it all up the night before. So in the morning, all we have to do is grab the stuff that has to stay cold, to grab that out of the fridge, and she checks it off her box, and then hook up the smoker, and away we go. So we've gotten to the point now where we're pretty organized, for the most part, and so a lot of it has to do with her. I just stand back and kind of twiddle with this and twiddle that and pretend I'm doing something. And
you stand there and look pretty.
I try to do the best I can. Yeah. But I sit there and I'm kind of pretending I'm doing something, and the next thing I know, the truck is loaded up. And I'm like, dang, you did a good job. I said, you need help with anything? Get out of my way. Yes, ma'am. Get out of her way. Because
mission accomplished.
She's got, she's zoned in, locked in. And I learned, being with her for 19 years, stay out of her way when she's in the zone, because I cannot match her. So loading up, prepping, when we get to the competition and setting up, I mean, I'm literally standing there waiting for something heavy to be lifted or something tall to be grabbed. And otherwise, I just stand back and just let her do her thing. That's her thing. And I usually get the smoker up and running, and stay out of her way is what I've learned.
Nice.
It's good that you've learned that.
Yeah. I was going to say, it's usually
that's the key.
Right. Yeah. You mentioned, whose rubs did you say using, and put a plug in for them again?
Oh, Smoking Bros rubs and seasonings. So they're correctional officers, sergeants and lieutenants maybe. But anyways, they work behind the walls, right? So their rubs are kind of that based. So the Warden is the Kansas City style rub that I use.
Okay.
Yep. And then the other one is a pecan rub. It's called the Retiree, because anybody that retires from working at the prison is usually nuts, is what they say. So the Retiree is what I put on over the Warden. And then they have the K9, which is their sweet heat. It's sweet, but it'll heat you. So the K9 is their sweet heat, which is I use as a finishing dust right before I turn it into the judges. I dazzle a little bit of that over the top of it. And I also use it in the sauce that I make. So, and it seems to set difference. Okay. But they have, I don't want to quote it, probably 12 to 14 different rubs, and they're only word of mouth. That's how they spread. They're not, you can't find them on Amazon or Walmart.com or nothing like that. It's word of mouth through their social media, through Instagram or Facebook. And all you do, like I messaged them last night, 10 o'clock last night, and I said, hey, I need to put in an order for 10 rubs, and it's $12 a bottle, which is very reasonable for around here. You get a nice size like that. And he shipped it this morning. you know.
Oh, nice.
And then they're in stores, like a lot of Ace Hardwares. The closest one to us would be Grantsburg at the hardware store in Grantsburg, like Tom Hanks.
Hardware Hank.
Hardware Hank.
Hardware Hank.
Yeah.
Oh,
Tom
sure.
Hanks.
The hardware
Tom
store with
Hanks.
the name Hank in it. What is it again?
Yeah, nailed it. They're over there, so you can find their seasons there. Otherwise, a lot of their stuff is based closer to where they're from. So Wisconsin based over Stillwater, Oak Park, that area. But if you go on their Instagram or their Facebook, they generally periodically will post which stores have their rubs.
Oh, good.
So
Do they have a website too then?
No website.
Nothing, just social media?
Just social media,
Okay.
word of mouth, and they're booming. So yeah, they're getting big.
So what is on the 2 racks of ribs I ordered from your last order that you fulfilled for people?
Yep.
What is on those?
That is the Warden.
Okay.
Yep, as the base layer, and then the Retiree as the pecan rub, the main one. That's where you get the color. I think the better flavor from, you know.
Okay.
And then I also made my own barbecue sauce, which is a combination from a generic barbecue sauce, and I've learned how a lot of trial and error, but what I like and what people seem to like. And
Sure.
so the the taste I'm going for is you bite it and it's like, oh, that's really good. It's sweet, you know, and all of a sudden wakes up your taste buds a little bit, but it doesn't burn you.
Okay.
You know, so I got people that like don't like spicy food and they love these ribs.
Nice.
So
I like spicy.
So it still has a little heat, but it's not spicy.
correct. And like I said, it just reminds you got taste buds in there. So
Right.
yeah.
I like it.
And that's what's on that. I sauced them all and then set the sauce and then put them in the, not Ziploc, the freezer bags, you know, and seal them, pressure seal them and vacuum seal them,
Sure.
and then froze them up. And so I was really impressed when I did a little Googling and research of how to be able to offer this to people other than just smoking at events and whatever. So yeah, I found out this and it reheats phenomenally.
Sure.
So
yeah, I can't wait to try
looking forward to it.
I'm super excited.
I'm looking forward to the reviews.
Yeah,
Like I
right.
said, you guys got it.
Yeah, we'll put some reviews on your social media.
Good.
I'm disappointed in myself that I didn't have them
I
prepared
know,
here.
I know. Andy, come on. now.
I know.
So that being said, you make your own barbecue sauce that you've tried. Are you going to dabble in making your own rubs or seasonings at all? Or are you going to try any of that? Or
So Chrissy asked me too, and she's doesn't push me, encourages me. She goes, you should really dabble in making your own seasoning and stuff like that. And I'm like, what I'm doing ain't broke. I know it's not broke. It's working. We're getting paid. It's not very cost effective for when I am cooking for people to sell, to use their rubs, you know, because I could make it a lot cheaper myself, obviously, or use a lot cheaper of a rub. But I wanted part of what my intent is that people that see the ribs and taste them, and I've cooked for people, and they're like, oh my God, that's what I want to recreate. And I don't want to just some stuff, you know. So the Smoking Bros rubs are what work. And for me, I'm like, I'm happy with that. And I'm more of just kind of focused on using their product that they did all the testing and all the legwork in. And I'll just use their stuff. This is what I'm at right now, anyways, in this point of my journey. So, or our journey.
awesome.
Yeah, it's definitely, she did not know what she was getting herself into.
When she challenged you.
Buckle up, lady.
Here we go.
She's the same way, though. You challenge her and it's game on, you know? So that's why we work together so well.
I mean, I guess you've answered that question. Are you man enough? We'll have won a couple competitions now.
Well, let's
A few.
see the trophies?
So that Mother's Day gift turned out very well then.
Yeah, it was very, very well for her. She definitely got to reap the benefits, I hope. So
Awesome. So for beginners like Andy and I that don't smoke at all, what would be like some beginner setup or beginner recipe that you would recommend for people that just are starting out and just want to start something?
How's your Utepils doing there?
Utepils is doing good.
Okay.
Should I
I
finish?
just want to make sure if you needed to get,
I don't want to get into warm, but I was savoring it.
Okay. I mean, there's backups, there's additional available.
There's the Smoky there.
Yeah, the Smoky. Otherwise, I do have one of these I was going to try to force you into trying just to make you try it a little bit.
Yeah.
We did this in a previous episode. This is the Hanalei Island IPA.
Is that the one from Hawaii you guys are talking
Kona.
about?
Yep.
Kona. Yeah.
So we get a second pop on that one.
There we
I'm just
go.
going to, if nothing else, make you taste it or whatever. I'll drink it. Like,
We're
I'll happily
breaking
drink
new
it.
ground here on the
It's an
podcast.
India Pale Ale. So it's going to be a little hoppier.
Oh boy, yeah, that's the stuff that is an acquired taste. I'm gonna say. Stuff that you've acquired over time.
Sorry, you mispronounced required taste.
Right. He's like, no, thanks.
All right.
Give me the Smoky.
That is not my cup of tea. That's for sure.
I was impressed though that you enjoy the Kolsch.
Yeah,
though.
this is almost gone, and I'll be tackling this one next.
There you go.
So, beginner recipes. You mean like just not pork related or not?
Just anything,
ribs?
just for a beginner like myself or Andy. Like, I've smoked twice and it's turned out okay, but
So
I didn't do
I
anything.
think I tried smoking
special.
one time and I couldn't get the temperature to go up very much. But I think I maybe had the mindset of there's a couple of things at play. I had the mindset that it needed to be a little higher, but I think there was also the mindset of that my sister-in-law and brother-in-law and wife were waiting for dinner that they thought was going to be ready.
Yeah.
And I was on a little green egg.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
And I'm like, it's not ready. It's going to be at least another hour. And they're like, all right, we're going to order pizza.
Yeah. I learned that the first time, and the only time I ever smoked a brisket was don't try to plan that for dinner because it'll throw your plans off. My first time ever doing a pork shoulder was, all right, we're going to have pork for, and YouTube says this should take anywhere from 8 to 10 hours, and it takes 15 because I'm sitting there lifting the hood. So that's one rule is don't lift the hood. Don't lift the hood to check on it. It's there. It ain't going nowhere. So every time you lift that up and then put it back down, it takes that much more fuel source, and you lose. There's a stall period with a lot of meats that it stalls. So you're watching the temperature, whether, whatever apparatus you have for the temperature of the meat, or you were like, when I first started, I lifted up and I probe it every time. Well, if I lift it up and probe it and it's 145 degrees and I lift it up 20 minutes later and it's at 140 degrees, I'm getting frustrated. Like, what's going on?
Sure.
Let it cook. It'll get there. So don't lift that hood as much as, you think. And then recipes wise, take grandma's meatloaf recipe and throw that in a smoker. You'll never have it in the oven again. That's so delicious when it's smoked meatloaf. Oh, so, and you can't mess it up. Bring it up to about 100.
Challenge accepted.
Yep,
Right.
challenge accepted. So grandma's meatloaf. If you want to not get fancy, but anytime somebody uses anything to wrap in bacon, typically, if you ever had one that you pull it from the fridge and you wrap whatever you're doing in bacon, and then as you cook it, it shrivels up a lot, right?
Mm-hmm.
An hour before you're going to wrap it, pull it from the fridge and let it get up to temp a little bit. It's more pliable, and then it sticks to whatever you're using, and so it doesn't fold up and shrivel up. The bacon doesn't,
Okay.
And so that's the biggest trick I kind of learned lately with my jalapeno poppers. Yeah. So I wrapped it because I was having troubles where I wrapped the bacon. It wasn't sticking to the meat or sticking to the popper as well. And then stuff's oozing out and you go to bite it and it comes undone. Well, now you bite it and bacon bites through and stuff like that. So, yeah.
Run the bacon one more time because now that I got I got the tip and then I tracked, how to be able to do it, but then I got distracted with the
bacon.
The jalapeno popper distracted me because I love jalapeno poppers.
right.
I've never had a smoked one with bacon.
Yeah,
Really?
and I think every one that I've ever had, it just shrivels up, and you try to bite it, and it's falling off, and you're having two different things. You're having jalapeno poppers and bacon.
You shouldn't have done the last one where you said we were going to have barbecue because I was already planning on smoking jalapeno poppers and bringing them today.
Oh,
and then
way to go, Andy!
You're like, oh, we're going to have your barbecue. So
one more failure.
My jalapeno poppers are one of my proudest things that I make, as far as whenever I share with people, they're like, more please,
Yeah.
And I'm like, yeah, here's some more. So yeah, I've really dabbled in a lot of trial and error. That's another thing, is that when you're doing barbecue, understand that, especially when you're first starting out, you are going to cook a rack of ribs and you're going to go bite them. You're like, yeah, or they're not going to bite out the bone. They're going to have to scrape it. You didn't get it done properly. So yeah, there's a lot of meat that was not wasted, but not enjoyed either.
I think that's probably one of my, I don't know if trepidation is the right word, fear, if you will, of not because I can cook a little bit. I do pretty decent, in the kitchen, but in something like that, my mindset is okay, now I'm going to spend $60 on this brisket or whatever it is. Right. And then I'm going to spend 8 hours working on this dang thing. And I'm going to get to the end and I'm going to cut it open and take a bite. Right. And I'm like, well, this sucks. I'm never going to do that again. It's not going to be a learning thing for me. It's just going to be, I'm going to punch the wall.
No, I'm done.
I have about 8 to 12 beers. And
for years, my grandparents every year at Christmas, we always went to my grandparents. My grandpa would always smoke 2 big prime ribs, or not smoke, but cook in the oven.
Cool.
And they're phenomenal.
Love me some prime rib.
Oh my God. So every year you go to Christmas and that's what we look forward to, right? Well, like most grandpas do, eventually they pass away. So I think it was the winter, the Christmas. It was our first Christmas without them. And we were having Christmas at my mom and dad's. Mom goes, hey, if I buy you a prime rib, will you smoke it? And think about the pressure, right? That ain't cheap. The prime rib is not cheap at all.
Nope.
For our Christmas dinner with our whole family, I'm like, my philosophy back then, before I realized how expensive it could get, is if you buy it, I'll smoke it. So, that's kind of the philosophy I had until
it's a $10 rack of ribs. Here you go.
Until I got real busy. But I'm like, let's give it a shot. You know what the hell? So I did a lot of research on that one, and I smoked a prime rib, I think 2 or 3 times or so, and then now Tanner's taking it over, and he hasn't missed yet.
Nice.
So. Yeah.
Well, at least he can do something right.
Yeah.
Yeah, you heard me right, Tanner.
Yeah. I mean, it is on a pellet smoker, but, like I said, he hasn't missed yet.
Throwing some shade.
Right.
So, and he's a good sport, too, because, like, every time I'm going to smoke something or a competition, he'll usually send me, like, a TikTok or something on how to do what I'm going to do. He's like, oh, you have a group competition here? You should try this. I'm like,
oh, yeah.
Thanks for the tip, bro.
Words behind me.
Right there. So...
Yeah, I'll just tell you a quick little story about the very first time I ever tried smoking. I have an SRG. It's called a Smoker Roaster Grill by Charbroil.
Yep.
Looks like a little R2D2.
Mm-hmm.
The thing's awesome. And I bought all the rib hooks and the meat racks and to hang drummies in there. Well, I really like turkey legs. You know, you go to the county fair or state fair and you get one of those turkey legs. And I thought, I'm going to make one of those, not knowing I have no clue what the hell I'm doing. So I season them up and I put them in the leg racks, so they're hanging down inside the SRG. I got the wood chips going, turn it on. Well, I learned it's not a set it and forget it thing the first time I tried this because I set it and, I fell asleep on the couch. I wake up 6 hours later, I go out there and it cooked right through the bone and all the turkey legs that fell into the bottom of the SRG. Needless to say, I was like, wow, that was awesome. Turned it off, opened it up, and I poked it, and they were still juicy and moist. And once you got through the outer charbroiled skin, it actually tasted okay.
Wasn't bad. So it wasn't a full failure.
It wasn't terrible, but when you smoke something through the bone, I thought, what the hell?
They call that fall out the bone. That's for sure.
Yeah, it was something.
That's awesome. Oh, good times.
Yeah, I just tried that green egg the one time. That's as far as I got.
Ceramic green egg. I've heard good things about it.
Yeah. I mean, I think it probably would have worked pretty good, but I don't know. There was a lot of pressure because it was not only it was like the family event thing going on, but I hatched this idea earlier in the day because so my brother and sister-in-law, they had rented a condo in Florida. And so we were down there visiting them. And so it was kind of like this area with like, there's a million houses and it was at a pool deck area.
Unfamiliar territory.
Exactly. Yeah. So not mine, just something that's out there. And so I did a little research and I'm like, I could figure this out, whatever. I had already cooked like for them like 2 or 3 times and they're like, oh, it's fantastic. Like go make something else. And so I went out there and, made this plan. And when I went to go down there to start this plan, well, there was this like giant Italian family from New York that they weren't using that, but they were using the whole patio and underneath the canopy to have their event. And I'm like,
like the mob was over there, the guy,
kind of, yeah. I'm like, can I use the smoker? And they're like, oh yeah, absolutely. And they're a lot of beers deep at this point, so they're trying to chat me up about this, and I'm trying to like frustratingly figure out how to get, like I said, any type of heat. I'm cooking at like 83 temp. Like
they ain't gonna do it, bud.
I'm like, this is just not working at all. I think I got it like decent, but I was doing like pork chops or something. It was like 3 hours or something dumb.
That's awesome.
Didn't really work all that well.
I think the other thing I smoked was pork chops this last summer. That turned out pretty good, and I actually did chicken breast.
Oh.
And that came out really good. Everybody in the house liked them. And again, I don't know what I'm doing, but they were moist and juicy. I like moist and juicy.
Moist and juicy.
I can't stand dried out meat. And when I was trying to do chicken breast, I'm like, oh man, these things can dry out real quick.
Yep.
It took me like 6 hours to do it, but it was at like 180, 170.
Were they bone in or they're boneless?
They were boneless.
They were
just,
boneless.
Just the garbage you buy at the local.
That stuff is delicious.
Oh, it was so good. And it was so moist and juicy. I'm like, heck yeah. Yep. I might have to start entering a competition with a little pit boss.
I do a little. I should say I do a little bit of smoking of bourbon.
Yep.
So.
Oh yeah. I wonder if that would work. Well, I'd probably boil off.
Right
there, but so besides winning, you've obviously won a lot of awards already in your career so far. We'll call it a career.
Sure.
Young and early in your career.
Our journey is what I call it.
You've won a lot. What's
You're
your
already talking about going pro.
Yeah, right, yeah. The Minnesota circuit. So besides winning and winning the money, what's your favorite part about doing the competitions? And
my favorite part?
Your favorite part besides the winning and the money?
Oh, the bonus part of that? My favorite part is just how my whole family is there. It's not me. Like, I'm very little part of the day. You know, like I have my whole family is included. Everybody has a job. Everybody's got a designation, you know, when it comes to wrapping. Everybody's got their stations, and I set everybody up in the stations, and I start, and all of a sudden Chrissy's like, no, that didn't work. You got to be there. That makes no sense for the butter person to be there and the honey person to be there. You got to be like, do your thing, chaos coordinator. You know? And all I do is I step back, but it's just how we all work together, and we are together, you know, through whatever the elements of the day are. Like, I think one of the competitions we did today this year was, I think by 9 o'clock in the morning, it was 95 degrees out.
Oh, wow.
Oh, wow.
That was a fun day, you know? And so we're there, we're grumpy, tired, sweaty, all together, you know? And then we're there on the 75 degrees sunny days, and we're all together, you know? And so that's my favorite part, is how my mom, my dad, my brother, my sisters, their friends and families, my kids, their boyfriends or girlfriends, whoever they are at the time, which is, for the most part, my kids are very consistent with having boyfriends or girlfriends. They don't go through them a lot, you know? So it's the same faces every time. Mm-hmm. And leading up to it, it's my coworkers. Hey, Clint, you got a competition coming up? Good luck, you know? And then afterwards, I post my results of how we do and stuff like that. And it's just a flood of congratulations, you deserve it, the likes and stuff like that. So it's not just me doing it, I guess you could say. It's everybody who I considered brothers and sisters and loved ones are all behind us, you know? Mm-hmm. So that's what I think is by far, and that's the thing that drives me to continue doing competitions, is knowing, and that's why I don't do them a lot. I don't do them weekly. You know, like last year I did 4. I think next year, for sure, going to do the same 4 that I did. And there's 2 more that kind of caught my eye, but it's just like, it's such a cool day.
Sure.
You know, so that's what keeps me going.
So it seems like there's a lot of work involved in the competition, like with your family, you know, helping out with this person has this role, this person has that role. Would it be possible for a single person to show up at a competition by themselves and do it all? Like, is that a thing?
Yeah, I seen it last year. I saw this guy. He showed up from South Dakota, and he set up, he must do YouTube or something. I tried finding him, but kind of the etiquette of competition is you don't go up to the other competitors during the competition, right?
Sure.
I kind of said that. So I didn't want to impose on him to find out who he was. Then after the competition, he skirted out right away. But yeah, I've seen one-man teams. Big Mo Kason, I mean, he's one of the godfathers of barbecue. He was known for many years of being a one-man wrecking crew. You know, winning world championship barbecue and those are 4 meat categories. And he was doing 4 meats in a day.
Oh, wow.
By himself, right? And I couldn't imagine.
You got to be dialed in.
Oh, my God.
A lot of practice runs.
Right. Yeah. And that's not just competitions. You're also walking it to turn it in. You know, like sometimes at those big competitions, big world competitions, it's a half-mile walk. And then you got to come back and get the next meet because the next turn is a half an hour later.
Oh,
you know, and you can't turn them both in at the same time. So, like, being a one-man crew, it's not something I want to do. And not only that, but it wouldn't be the same. Mm-hmm. You know, the first time that it's just me and Chrissy showing up, we're going to have a great time, her and I, but it won't be the same. And I hope we never have to experience because, well, you know, my family, I don't think we'll have to experience that. Yeah, they're there every time. So, yeah, by far, though, the family thing is what keeps us going.
So that kind of got me curious. I'm kind of backtracking here a little bit. You had mentioned earlier, and you talking about walking up with the finished product there to the judges. Mm-hmm. You had mentioned earlier about how it looks and how it's arranged. Like, what are they looking for as far as like appearance?
Sure.
Like when they lift that lid and look at what you're doing, what are they looking for with that?
So the backyard competitions that I've done 3 out of the 4 allow garnish. And what garnishing is usually some sort of green in there to set the ribs on. So for one, they don't move when you're walking the box around, The one place, Pub 65, Pub and Grub, they don't allow any garnishing. Just throw the ribs in the box. But what they're looking for is symmetrical, even cuts. And that's one thing I also learned is that the center of the rack is generally the best rib you get, right? So that first year, I took 6 racks and I cut the center bone out of all of them and kind of put them there together. Well, then I realized that if I use the same rib and find 6 bones and cut them, they put back together a lot nicer. So it looks prettier in the box. So when they open it up, it looks like a half a rack of ribs, and then they grab it. Oh, they're actually disconnected already. They're already cut. And so they're looking for color. Because for one, you don't want it too dark, more of that kind of red mahogany kind of a look. And then they like it sauced, but not clumpy. You know what I mean? So like for me, I thin my sauce out with apple juice, and it's more of like kind of a glaze, kind of tacked up there, And then, yeah, just neatness as well. As you set it in there, like it's clean. You take a paper towel and you clean around the white, it's a food tray or whatever, you make it just look pretty. So when they open it up, they're like, okay, that one looks better. That one looks good. And that's your goal, is that you start out with a really good looking box and they bite it and go, as long as it's ever anything but, you're already scoring higher. So that's where my first competition where I placed 5th is that I had a lot of people come up and tell me that I was by far the best ribs that they've ever had, which was a huge compliment for my first competition. I had a lady, she was like, I've been a chef for 25 years. And she goes, I got to tell you, your combination of flavors knocked my socks off. Oh my God, best barbecue I ever had. And that came from like a chef.
Did you find her socks?
Did not look for them. No, Kirsty was
I suppose you were busy winning the. Sorry, I got to go for the awards.
Right. But it was just kind of like one of those things, like, it was a cool accomplishment. But I realized where I would have probably scored or, gotten a call in that competition if my ribs looked pretty.
Okay.
And looking back now, take a picture of the turn-in box, it's kind of a thing so you can learn from your mistakes or whatever. And that was definitely a mistake, was the turn-in box did not look pretty there.
Sure.
So, yeah.
So what advice would you give to a new person that's going to go compete in smoking competitions? For a brand new person like Andy, doesn't know what he's doing.
Yep. I got $300 burning a hole in my pocket. I'm going to get myself a 34-inch propane offset double
master
whammy
build
and turn it into $2,500.
Yes.
Trail.
I'm looking for an investment. I don't want to just throw the money at it. I want to come back with some cash. Never going to happen.
I guess to get started, do your research. Competitions, when they put it out, the flyers and stuff like that, they usually have a list of rules on there as far as what you're allowed to do and what you can't do. And they usually have a contact person. And I don't know if I'm annoying or not, but I am not afraid to contact the person, put it on and go, do you allow this? It says doors open at 7, but my smoker takes 2 hours to warm up. Can I show up at 6? Ask those questions. Usually they're very helpful. I have a buddy of mine that I worked with for many years, and he transferred up to the Moose Lake prison. And he reached out to me and he said, there's a guy up at Moose Lake that works there. I think his name's Matt. I've talked to him a couple times. And he goes, he wants to get into rib competitions, but he's never done one before. And I want to know, can I give him your number so you can reach out and ask you whatever questions? I'm like, heck yeah. So he's texted me a few times with questions like that. And he's actually signed up for his first competition at, it's called Good Neighbor Days over in Chisago, Hugo area, So he signed up for that one and I'll be there. So that'd be kind of fun to meet him. I've never even met him, but a lot of it is just
competing in that one too, or just okay.
Yeah, I competed in that one last year, took 3rd there. So that was back when we were still trying some stuff, but just do the research, learn the rules of each competition because they're all different when you do these backyard competitions. And then don't be afraid to ask the event host questions as far as, do you provide the rib boats? Do you provide, how does People's Choice work? Because every place is different of how they have the people judge your ribs,
Sure.
So ask those questions because like this, our last competition at Pub 65, we didn't ask the right questions. And they had a sides competition that we really wanted to get in on. So I made my jalapeno poppers. Well, the year before, the sides competition was you turned in 4 samples of your sides to the judges and that's it. That's all you had to make. You could give away to the public if you wanted, but that was just their deal. Well, this year, we turned in our 4 jalapeno poppers, and then people came around, and my dad and my uncle and, my boy, they're smashing all these jalapeno poppers. People are coming around, they're like, where's your size? We want to test your size. I'm like, oh, we don't have enough or whatever. Like, well, there's a size competition. That's $500 we missed out on.
Oh.
That if we would have won People's Choice size competition, but I didn't know it because I didn't ask the question.
Sure.
Mm-hmm. So, yeah, don't be afraid to ask and reach out to the event coordinators. Yeah.
Well, do you have anything else to add that we haven't missed that you want to share with anybody there, Clint? PeetzOut BBQ?
To add, man, it's fun. If you're ever thinking about getting into barbecue competitions, the backyard stuff, pull the Band-Aid off and just jump in. Do it. It's fun. You'll never turn back. It's addicting almost, One thing I didn't do, I wish I would have done, is actually go to one of them one time and be a patron, if you will.
Yeah.
But it's not what you think. A lot of these backyard competitions, my favorite one by far, not just because I've won it 2 years in a row, but is that A1 Tire. It is such a family event. I mean, they are helpful. That Jeff, he's got staff driving around on carts like, hey, do you guys need paper towels? Do you need stuff? So if you're ever thinking about doing a competition or being a part of a competition and being a patron, I highly suggest that A1 Tire because it is such a cool event that those guys put on for the public. It's for the public. Barbecue is just a bonus, so it's a cool day. They have a band that plays at night.
Oh, nice. Fun.
It is cool.
Nice.
Cool.
Right on.
Awesome.
What was the name of the rubs place again? The seasonings?
Smoking Bros, rubs and seasonings. Yep. So Smoking Bros, if you just type that into Facebook or Instagram, you'll find them. And it's I wish I would have brought in a picture of their logo, but it's like a shape of a badge, if you will. It says Smoky Bros. It's black and white. So,
well, if you can get me a photo of it, send me a photo. I can put it in our comments or whatever.
Okay. I'll do that right when we're done. I got their logo. So,
yep. We'll definitely add that in there.
Yeah, and they contribute to such a good cause at Correctional Peace Officers Foundation. So,
take another drink. It'll work.
There it is. So, yeah, cool guys. Oh, for sure.
Well, if you want to plug yourself one more time, where can people find you? Where can they expect to see you? And then Andy can close us out of here.
PeetzOut BBQ. I'm on Facebook and Instagram and tinkering around with TikTok the best I can with what I'm brave enough to do. So, yep.
Well, that might be going away here pretty soon. That's a whole different
it's
thing.
Supposedly going to be banned here soon. We'll see. In the United States, we'll see.
Who knows?
Again, right?
Yeah, exactly. We'll see what happens there. I'm sure somebody will come around with something that'll replace it immediately, though. So, well, Clint, we appreciate you joining us.
Thank you.
Making the trip out here and being able to be a part of the shenanigans that we had here. So, but Utepils, so you can get it in most places. The Kolsch, pretty high on the lawnmower scale. I think it'd probably be pretty high on the rib scale, on the smoking scale. Be able to maybe have a couple of those while you're doing that. I think like an 8 to 10 hour day though might prove a little difficult to Kolsch your way through it.
I need a couple bushes to
right, kind of offset things
some
just a little bit, right? Right on. Well, we appreciate that. And, like Utepils, be able to check that out. Like I said, it's in a lot of places, the 16-ounce can and then the mix packs that they have a lot of places. Otherwise, they're located in Minneapolis and good stuff. Good to be able to have. I kind of rotated over to this Hanalei, for the second round here, but a lot of different options that we have here. So, always a good time though. But I hope you enjoyed today's episode. And again, like, share, subscribe, tell everybody about it, and make sure you check out everything that Clint's got going on over at PeetzOut BBQ. So, but until next time, everybody, cheers.